Okay, so we live in a world now where mental health problems are seriously skyrocketing. Depression, suicide rates, etc. You're probably aware of this. Now, often this does start and stem from traumatic experiences, actual conditions, things that have happened in people's lives. But there are still things around that which you can control. And the things which you can control, the list goes on and on and on. But there's a few that people are doing today that's not really conducive or helping them with their problems. So, the first one I want to talk about is music. You see, music on the surface seems very harmless, right? Um, because you get all kinds of music. You get happy music, you get rock music, you get sad music. Music comes in many different forms, but it actually rewires your brain. And the words you're listening to aren't just words, like they're actually meanings in it, which you absorb. And that starts to become your reality. You start listening to rap, and some rapper is talking about having sex with all these women and having baby mamas and all this money, and then you're listening to Lil Peep or some other sad rapper who's like talking about how much they hate their lives, and you're just absorbing all this energy and frequency, negative, and no one stops to think and make a link there. Why? How can that not be a link? Of course it can. I literally spent so much of my secondary school years listening to sad music. Now, it was a sad time, don't get me wrong. Like, teenage years can be quite hard for people. Puberty, you're trying to, like, figure out yourself. You got school bullshit going on with people, bullying, trying to fit in, find your place, find your feet, um, work which you don't want to do. But when you're that age, you're very susceptible to um, essentially being manipulated and not seeing things for what they are because you're naive, you're young, you don't have many experiences, you haven't, been through enough iterations of life to understand and learn things through experience. So I listened to lots of depressing music um, throughout secondary school, which kept me in this kind of like victim mentality cycle and feeling sorry for myself, feeling down, when really like my life was actually okay. But I let that energy and that frequency like actually warp my reality so much. Like it created so many unnecessary problems for me. Music. Second one is nutrition. Now, we live in a world now where it is very hard to get food that your body, when you're born in this world, is naturally adapted to and naturally would be um, supplementing it in and aiding it in a way that is evolutionarily familiar for growing, for feeling healthy, for just developing as a child as you should. So now we live in a world where reaching that kind of food um, is either very expensive, there's social judgment, um, or it's just like straight up illegal in where you live, like raw milk, for example. Um, yeah, so obviously, like nowadays we have processed foods everywhere. Lots of our foods are just littered with emulsifiers, additives, all these things which like actually affect your gut microbiome, which then sends a signal to your gut, to your brain, right? This literally controls the way you feel. Your gut and your brain is linked. You've heard it now and again, but they are linked. And when you feed yourself foods that are these, factory made foods that are not, that the human, body is not able to familiarize well, you are going to biochemically feel off. Your rhythm is going to feel off. And that's just another example of something which, goes still among most people, like under the radar. Oh, it's just, they look at an ingredient list and they think, oh, it's just like, what even is maltodextrin? What even is like guar gum? Like, what even are these gums? Like, oh, it's just a word, like, whatever, I'll just have it. Like, they just don't care. They don't care. They don't look at ingredient lists and make the connection between how that might be impacting the way they feel and again, like, how they're seeing the world. So, yeah, music, nutrition, and the third big one, which really should be first, is obviously social media. Social media is pretty much everything wrong with this society that we live in. It has the power to be the greatest thing for society, but it also happens to be our downfall. You are constantly absorbing everyone else's versions of success they're telling you, different, beliefs and false lies, identities, um, lots of things that are constantly trying to elicit an emotion out of you. Not to mention, how much scrolling short form content fries your brain, affects your brain. Um, it's hard. Like, it's hard to navigate these things because no one else is doing it. How many people, right, between the age of, let's say, 18 to 35, do you know that doesn't listen to music, or like, let's say music with lyrics, right? Let's just say music with lyrics. Someone who doesn't listen to music, doesn't have social media, and eats like organic whole foods. You literally probably can't name one person. Meanwhile, the 99% are falling victim to all three of those things, which society set up as a trap to keep you stuck and depressed and full of anxiety, ADHD, all of these things to keep you off rhythm. So, yeah, those are the three things that external things which you can control and is seriously altering your frequency. And if you've realized that one of these things are like might be the biggest thing holding you back, just take it slow. Like, you're not going to be someone who listens to music a lot and all of a sudden goes cold turkey on music, because there's dopamine that comes with music as well. So like, just like any kind of vice or addiction, right? People never see music as a vice or addiction. Um, People don't make that association because they don't see it as a bad thing. So they don't know its negative effects on you. So yeah, take it slow, be patient, see it as a lifelong conquest to just unplug from like all of the noise, all of the noise. And yeah,